stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Morning, afternoon, everyone. I'm sure it's morning somewhere. All right. All right. We're done sharing. Ain't got anybody on quite yet. Give it a few minutes. I know that everybody just wants to come on and talk about stigma. You know. Hey, Sebastian. Hey. All right. So, if you are here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. And welcome to the Daily Trudge. Might as well cover this stuff while nobody is watching. Pet my kitty. You know, go kitty, huh? Yeah. He's like, yep. See you later, dude. Kind of finding out that he's a daddy's boy. I went to go take him outside yesterday. I have some leashes and stuff. Collars for him, some wraparound collars, and yeah, scared the hell out of him. I almost got my face ripped off. So, all right, let's get started. Man, it looks like I am a lot closer. I did because of the zooming. That's why. All right. Wait here. Let's play around with some zooming. All right. Boop, boop, boop. There we are. Still says 0. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Of course, I meant to pick up I gotta put it on chat. There was a lot of I had a lot of technical issues, and there's part of the problem. The chat overlay isn't up, so there we go. Hey, Jerry, good to see you. Heck, since you're here, I might as well tell you you're next on my list for podcasting. Oh no. I think you're at a point where you'd be a very good speaker. So, all right. So, what I actually want to get started with here before we get into stigma is I want to talk about. Well, let's just get into it. I'm going to read out of the big book here. It's the forward to the first edition. We of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 people. 100 people. I'm so used to saying people now instead of men and women. That's a good thing. So we of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 people who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. Now, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you to start from the very front right here and read all the way through this up until Bill's story and count how many times it says recovered. I don't know it off the top of my head. So, to show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered, there it is again, italicized even, is the main purpose of this book. Okay. Now, I do consider myself a recovered alcoholic. Okay. And you too can become a recovered alcoholic. And so I'm going to qualify it here real quick. That does not mean that we are cured of alcoholism. There's nothing. Alcohol is a symptom of your disease, guys. Okay. That's it. And actually, if you look at it that way, that means that any, like if you got angry, you'd have to reset your date. Wouldn't that suck? My point is that we do recover from a hopeless state of mind and body. We do. I know this. It's fact for me. Because this is acting a little weird over here. Jerry, are you really on, or is it just playing with me? Because it's giving me bad numbers. So, all right. For them, so to show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book. For them, we hope these pages will prove so convincing that no further authentication will be necessary. And right there, I have page 35 marked. Let's find out what that says. So 35. So we're talking about, for them, we hope that these pages will prove prove so convincing that no further authentication. We go to page 35. What sort of thinking dominates an alcoholic who repeats time after time the desperate experimentation of the first drink? Friends who have reasoned with him after a spree which has brought him to the point of divorce or bankruptcy are mystified when he walks directly into a saloon. Why does he? Of what is he thinking? We think this account of our experience will help everyone to better understand the alcoholic. Many do not comprehend that the alcoholic is a very sick person. And besides, we are sure our way of living has its advantages for all. There's so much stuff in there. All right. Now, number one, we have Alcoholics Anonymous. What does it say? It says are more than 100 men and women who have recovered. Okay. It's also letting us know who wrote the big book. I love Bill just as much as everybody else, but he didn't write the big book. Okay. A lot of his influence and his verbiage is in there, but 100 people wrote the big book. And that's the miracle of it. I hardly even hear this anymore. All I hear is, oh, yeah, when Bill wrote the big book. No. It's when those 100 people sat down to write the big book, a miracle fucking happened. I probably shouldn't use the word fucking there with miracle, but it did. A miracle happened. What was that miracle? That 100 people could come together and agree on a way of life. Right? So this isn't just Bill's experience. It is the experience of 100 people. That is the miracle of the freaking big book. So start talking about it. Because that is really cool stuff. I think it is. I think it's cool stuff. I like history stuff and knowing things about Dr. Bob and Bill W. It's important to know this stuff because you're going to utilize it in your life. You really are. So let's get to stigma. Woo, bad word. Wink. Bad words. Let's go look at what are we gonna do? We know we're gonna look it up here. Let's find it. Let's look at it. Stigma.
Here's the definition of
not stickman. Stigma. Then it gives me figma. All right. Here's the definition for stigma. A mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstances, quality, or person. The stigma of having gone to prison will always be with me. Okay, that's a good example. Credentiation marks corresponding to those left on Jesus's body of the crucifixion said that we are impressed by the divine favor on his body as Saint. I have no idea what they're saying there. Okay, if something has a stigma attached to it, people think there is something to be ashamed of. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. What are 3 types of stigma? Self-stigma, public stigma, professional stigma, and institutional. There we go. That's what we're looking for, right? Take a look through this stuff. Find what it is that you need, right? Now we're finding out there's 4 different types um, of stigma, right? Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that. All right, so because on there, remember, I said we do it too, right? We have to watch ourselves. We really do. Okay. Why am I going through this? Because I noticed that I was doing it. Stigma refers to discrediting, devaluing, and shaming of a person because of characteristics or attributes they possess. That's a good one right there. Okay. It said that it had the 4 different kinds here. Work with me. Just give me the 4 different kinds. I don't need your methods and everything else. I know. I already know them. All right. It says there's 3 types. I'm just going to pull them off here because they're not doing it. Okay. Literature identifies multiple dimensions of types of mental health related stigma, including self-stigma. All right, let's start there. I'm just a piece of shit. Well, I'm a drug and alcoholic, but here's a good one. Yeah, maybe I drink a little too much, but I don't live under a bridge with a paper bag. Stigma. A stigma. Right? I said something in a meeting the other day, and I don't think everybody quite caught it. I said 95% of the people that are in AA were not homeless. Right? What does that tell you? Only 5% of the people in Alcoholics Anonymous actually go that far down. That's what I'm saying. So whatever stigma you're putting on it, proof to me is it's just not true. Right? Oh, well, and alcoholics like to do this. Oh, why ain't shooting up dope like that guy over there? Stigma. Sometimes we'll get so into stigma that we will actually become a part of it. Oh yeah, the kind of like you're an alcoholic. Oh yeah, you think I'm an alcoholic? You're a liar. You're an asshole. Watch me. I can be a bigger asshole. I can. Just listen to the fluctuation in my voice. As soon as it goes down, you're like, all right. So that would be personal stigma, all right? Self stigma, public stigma. We hear that all the time, don't we? He's just you know what? And usually the public stigma with what we're going through is, it's a choice, and I don't see why they just can't put it down. I can have 1 or 2 drinks. Why can't he? You would, his wife is so beautiful and great. You'd think that he would stop for her, right? Public stigma. Okay? What else is public stigma? Commercials. Commercials have stigma in them. Yeah. Just go watch them. How can that be? But Dion, how could a Johnny Walker commercial be stigma? I tell you. Because what I've noticed that when I'm down, if I put something in Facebook that says I'm not doing very well, I start getting alcohol ads. That's not coincidence. That's stigma. They know I'm in recovery. I'm all over the fucking place. I like 2,000 videos on recovery. Professional stigma. Woo! Yep. Some of us are in positions where we can't let people know because of professional stigma. There are some professions where alcohol and drugs are the norm, like chefs. Did you know that? right? That's a small group of people, birds of a feather, right? They all know each other. Got to be careful in that, right? I've had professional stigma used against me in recovery coaching. Oh, he's crazy. He has PTSD. He's out of control. Blah, blah, blah. Right? And institutional stigma. I'm going to cover a couple things on institutional stigma. A lot of mental health problems look the same as addiction. So it is not surprising that mental health and addiction often quite get intertwined together. And why is that? Because the alcohol addict can't be honest. They don't know how. Did you know that originally it was an honest desire to stop drinking and they took out the word honest? Why? Because they couldn't be honest. They don't have it in them. They don't know how. So that was too big of a requirement, that honesty portion, because we've been living in a different world, a made up world, you know. We think that we're that little kid in Never Ending Story, right? What's another institutional stigma? Detoxes are. And I know that might sound confusing, but let me tell you about it. And stuff has changed. So that's cool. So what we had people with bachelor's degrees working at detox, right? Thank you. Love their service. I have met a lot of people that come into this field that are non-alcoholic that really truly want to help. They do. These people have sacred hearts. They probably have their own trauma going through life and things like that, right? Here's my problem, and it doesn't have to do with the employees. Nope. Love them. What they need is a raise, and I would love to put them in a situation where they thrive. But they don't do that, right? So when you start into a new field, right? Let's say you got your CAC, you're starting in a new field. Where do you start? At the bottom, right? That's where everybody starts. So why is detox the bottom? That is stigma through and through and through. Okay? Well, you have to start at the bottom with the drunks. Wrong. That's stigma. We got a couple comments here. Brenda, thank you. It was good to see you, honey. You have been so busy. Brenda, you guys, she does from what I know, most of it, she does YPR down at Mile High. All right. Now you do not have to be a young person to go. They will let you in. They don't do stigma. People normies like to remind me that my chances of recovery were nil. They would say I relapse. Yep, that relapse, say relapses will happen. Yep, I get that. Shame. I needed this one right now. Yet, even just our own personal shame. So let's talk a little bit on what Jerry was saying, and I'm gonna cover Brenda's. Right. I have an older brother, and he's actually got whatever the highest level degree is in psychology, right? And this is why he's mad at me. Dion, I do not understand why you went back to drinking and ruined your family. And he's mad at me about that. It's a legitimate, for somebody who's normie, that's legitimate, man. It is. My mother-in-law doesn't think I'm sober. She'll call my wife, oh, he drinking, and we're like, no. She does mean things to me. She sent my brother-in-law $100 for taking care of her daughter. Right? Stigma. Stigma. And we're going to have to deal with it. I wanted to talk about what Brenda had brought up, and then we're going to talk about how we deal with it. So let's start with self-stigma. Because blame, that's where it's coming from, right? Maybe it's blame from net. Okay, and I just want to clarify, Brenda, is it blame from other people or are you blaming yourself? So, um, blaming ourselves uh, with stigma, that has more of like, I'm not good enough, I'm not getting enough done, I wish it would, the problem with people like that, and I can say that because I'm one of them, is I tend to put too much on my plate. And because I think that I can do all of those things when I can't. I'm easily distracted. I let other people distract me from what it is that I need to be doing. Right. Um, and you're going to find that the Serenity Prayer works really well in this. Um, I don't really get much stigma from people. And I think that has to do with the fact that, I'm loud. And I know my stuff, man. I've been doing this for a long time. So feeling like others are embarrassed of you, creating shame in you. Oh, ouch. Ouch, ouch. Yes. And that can come from anywhere, man. That can happen from anywhere. Um, when it's with I think that kind of situation, at least for me, and with what you're talking about, it would probably hurt most coming from peers. Considering what you and I do, um, you know, we it takes a tribe, and that includes me, and I've got to have my tribe. Um, and what I was doing is I was going through, and I'm like, well, I'd like that person to work with me. I like that person. And it just wasn't quite working out. So what I did is I went and became friends with the people that are supporting me. Ta-da! How, it seems silly, but that was an epiphany for me. I hadn't thought of it. Um, Part of the problem also is when other people are saying that, you know, because I know Brenda well enough that if somebody says something to her, whether it's in jest, done kindly or mean, she's gonna take a look at it, right? We take a look at it, and sometimes we'll go through it and find that it's false. But believing other people's stigma um, can be tough. Part of the problem with that is there's usually gaslighting involved. In that kind of a situation, you're probably being put down because you have extra stuff or whatever. I have extra mental issues, and I do talk about them quite frequently. Um, and I get stigma. There's stigma with that. No, you don't all work with that. He's crazy. He's got that PTSD, man. You just never know. He's unreliable. Doesn't want to educate himself. These different things. All right. And when it first started, I believed it because I just didn't have very high self-esteem. And so I went and did a lot of work. I got a therapist, and this last year, hitting my 6th year today. This last year has been a lot of growth, a lot of growth. I'm just not the angry person that I used to be. I used to take things personally from my peers. Now I don't. And I'm not gonna say I don't give a fuck because I do. It'd be silly to say I don't care what my peers think of me. That's why they're my peers. But there again, that's why I hang out with the ones that support me, that are moving forward, right? And there may be other groups like that, but maybe I just don't fit in with that. That's okay too. You'll find your group, but be open-minded about it. Um, and I think blame is actually one of those words that we need to remove from our vocabulary. In this case, though, you needed it to describe. So it was just a thought that popped into my mind. And of course, I'm always here if you need to talk, and you know me. Even if you need to call and just bitch and moan, get things off your chest, great. Here's the thing: is I need to do that too, and it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. I just need to yell and scream sometimes for a little bit, and then okay, now let's take a look at it. Avoid all that stuff. It was selfish, self-centered crap. I just needed it off my chest. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just finding the right arena to do it. And I have found that Facebook is not the place to do it. Closed mouth friend. If you're feeling down, call somebody that's on your side, man. Hey, I'm feeling a little down. There is nothing, even though I talk about emotional sobriety, there is nothing wrong with reaching out to your friends and asking for help. Okay? You can keep your emotional sobriety and still talk to somebody. Maybe they're just going to remind you of what you need to do. Has that ever happened to you? Oh, yeah. That's right. I forgot about that. That's why we repeat our stuff over and over and over and over again, because we need to drive it into our brains, because my forgetter works extremely well. It's my best function. So what do we do with stigma? Well, I'm just going to do a generalized one, because if I get into specifics, and we're talking about anger, we're talking about guilt, we're talking about a lot of other things, right? So I'm talking about in general. If you can, educate them without being a dick. If you can't do that, walk away, right? If they are so angry, blah, blah, and you don't think you're going to get through, pick your battles, man. It's not your job to change that person's mind. It's not, right? Grant me the strength to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, right? Use your intuition. It is almost always correct. Almost always. I rely on my intuition, and I get to rely on my intuition more and more because I continue to do the work. More work. There's always more to learn. There is. Recovery has so many different moving parts. You're never going to learn it all. So, all right. That's what I have for the daily reflection. Or the daily trudge. And I'm thinking about coming back on and telling my story. Take about 45 minutes, I think 45 minutes to an hour, but only if people are going to show up. So I'll make a little announcement. Time is it now? I can go at 2:30. And if I know that 5 people are going to show up, then I'll do it. But I don't mind telling my story. Absolutely not. And you guys know I love running my mouth. But I'm feeling a little selfish, and I want people there for it, or it just won't be any fun for me. And that's why I'm doing it. Fun for me. It's my day. So, yeah. I love you guys. Thanks for being here. Brenda, it was good to see you. If you ever need anything, I've always got your back. You've been doing some fan-fucking-tastic things. So whatever you've been doing, keep it up, because I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one noticing. I'm not. All right. I love you guys. Peace out and have a day.